Our first stop on the trip is at White Cliff Park. Pretty damn cool place, if you ask me.
When the tide is out, the land next to this rock mass, which is formed because this rock is harder and more dense than the rock around it, which is why it is here.
This is root action. Root action occurs when the tree here grows up in between rocks, causing them to break. As you can see in here, this tree has grown into the rock, causing the rock to split apart. Root action.
Here you can see a bay and headlands. The bay is formed because the rock in the bay is softer and erodes faster. That's why headlands exist, because their rock is harder and erodes away faster.
Types of erosion that make up this happen are attrition, abrasion, and corrosion. Right here, this is corrosion because it's rusting here. Minerals inside the rock rust.
This is spit. The spit is formed from swash and backwash, as well as glacial deposits.
Next we will be talking about swash and backwash. As you can see here, these waves are coming in at an angle. Where it comes in is the base of swash is when it comes in at an angle. Backwash goes straight back. Swash keeps coming in at an angle and going straight back, carrying all of this seaweed and other minerals and sediment, which will then build up along the spit, also known as longshore drift. Here's a more in-depth view of White Cliff Park. Here was the Tombolo, the spit, and the light. Swash comes in like this. Swash comes in at an angle, carrying sediments. The backwash carries it right back. This continues on, and then what direction it goes is based on the wind. At White Cliff, the wind is blowing this way, which creates all the sediment to build up along your spit.
See all these rocks and all these sediments? A long time ago, a glacier came over this land melting, and it dropped all these rocks and all this sand and sediments, and that is called glacial till.
So right here, there's a basaltic dike. Clearly you can see that the lighter, more large crystal grain rock was here first. Due to tectonic uplift, it caused this basaltic dike to come through here. You can tell it's basaltic because of the color and as well as the crystal size. If you look closely, you can see that the crystal size is almost not seen. But then if you come over to the white rock, it's the crystal size is quite coarse and large grained. This cut through here and it keeps going, and it'll stop right at the top of the mountain here.
These lines right here that I am pointing to, these are made from salt wedging. What happens with salt wedging is the salt water gets into these cracks, and when the water evaporates out, the salt crystallizes and expands and cracks the rock.
This right here on my right hand side is a wave cut platform. It's caused because all the rock that used to be here was all softer and was eroded away faster. The four types of erosion were corrosiveness, attrition, abrasion, and hydraulic action. Wave cut platform.
All of that has been eroded because it was softer than that.
So here I'm going to explain a frost wedging. Okay, so what happens to a rock is there will be rain coming down on it all the time, and what happens is there's very small cracks in the rock that the rain gets into, and then during the winter time it gets like super cold outside where the water freezes and it expands by 9% and it cracks the rock. After years and years of this happening, what the final product is going to be is just going to be the rock, which is just cracked in half. A frost wedging.
Next caboose stop, we took the Sea to Sky Highway all the way up to Harvey Creek in Lions Bay.
As seen here in this diagram, drawn by Nick Sim, this is a retaining wall. You can find these on the Sea to Sky Highway when driving through the mountains. retaining walls are put in place to block off rocks that are falling down the mountain to prevent them from hitting the road.
Only after a minor incident in the bus, we finally made it over to Harvey Creek.
This is Harvey Creek Dam. It's used to protect the towns of Line Bay. At times during the spring season, the water levels can get very high, bringing debris with it and causing mudslides. Debris slides caused by high gradient and lots of precipitation after the water makes its way down from the glaciers in the spring season, after all the ice is melted. There are also many drainage pipes along the concrete, which are used in case of overflow situations, so that the water doesn't come up over onto the streets.
What happens in orographic precipitation is a marine polar air mass comes in from the Pacific Ocean from the west. Brings in clouds, rain, lots of moisture with it. What happens to these clouds is that they have to drop their moisture to get over the mountains because they're too heavy and they have to get lighter. So they drop all their rain, snow, any kind of precipitation that they can, and they green up this side of the mountain, drop lots of moisture, which makes plants grow. And then once it crosses over top of the side of the mountain, if there's no more moisture for the clouds to drop, so on this side of the mountain, in this case the east side, there would be very little precipitation, which means very little plant growth.
And after Harvey Creek Dam, we made our way up to the Portal Cove on our next stop of the trip. So as you can see right there, the little A-shaped mountain with the spot with no trees, that's a truncated spur, and it's hard to tell because of the vegetation. But right towards the bottom, you can see where it gets chopped off and it's a straight drop down, but it's hard to see with the trees in there right now.
If you see what I'm pointing at? Right there is a hanging valley. What happened there is on the past ice age, when a glacier is covering that, it would be on the top of that mountain and it would slide down, bringing in all sorts of sediments with it.
All around here, where the ocean and all the mountains,
See what
is
you're
all
putting,
part of
get
the
out.
U-shaped valley. The former ice age, this all would be covered by a glacier, and after all the ice melted, ocean levels rose and filled in the U-shaped valley. It's actually really shallow here.
This is a roche mountainais. A roche mountainais is formed when a glacier goes over a sheet of bedrock. This is a fjord. All of it. All this water. At one point in time, it was all dry. But because glaciers started to melt, it filled in this whole valley with water. Now, it's an ocean. And this is a ferry terminal. This ferry terminal is used for emergency evacuation of anyone on this highway in case of a rock slide on the highway.
Just in case you get trapped up here, you can leave still, man.
Marine is used for agriculture and economic purposes because there is such an abundance of it.
Back towards the bay, where all of the buoys are, there's lots of terminal moraine beneath the water, which is used for scuba diving purposes.
Go.
The tidal fluctuation at Portal Cove is a real feat of nature. Right now we're sitting at low tide. The average high tide will go up as high as the damp rocks with the algae and barnacles growing on them. However, the highest this tide has ever been is going to be all the way up to our left, where the driftwood has been pushed up the beach. What a day.
This
What a
is
time to be
mid-tide.
alive.
The damp hurts. You can tell the water is being there because of the algae growing on it and the dampness of the rocks.
As the glacier comes in and fills up a V-shaped valley, it slowly but surely carves away the edges, forming a U-shaped valley. All of the moraine it sucks off the side of the mountains become lateral moraine and medial moraine and terminal moraine. The medial moraine comes from all the sediments and rocks that fall off the mountains and land on top of the glacier, while the lateral moraine is from all the stuff that comes off the sides of the mountain where the glacier is. As the glacier starts to recede, all of the terminal moraine is left at the bottom of the glacier where the glacier was, because it starts to melt and keeps retreating. And eventually, after ocean levels rise due to all the ice melting, the terminal moraine is left at the bottom of the ocean, which is used for scuba diving purposes. This is an example of what happened at Portal Cove on our trip to Whistler.
Oh, what the hell?
Oh, come on guys, we gotta get back to work.
Hey,
Get
get back there and start watching a video. Come on.
After the magnificent stop at Portal Cove, we made our way up to the Brandywine Falls, with the magnificent water.
So these are columnar joints that we're sitting on top of right now. The reason that they have their hexagonal shape, which is quite unique, is because when they come onto the surface, after they finish cooling, they crack, forming this hexagonal shape. The reason that these ones are so much more broken up than the ones in Ireland is due to frost wedging, which is from the snow, which causes them to crack, giving them the flaky texture that they have.
As you can see to your left.
Here you can see headward erosion, which occurs at the top and bottom of a waterfall. Headward erosion is the constant erosion of rocks, which moves the waterfall backwards. This is more commonly known as waterfall migration. This gives it its unique inverse bowl shape at the back of the waterfall.
We're here at Brandywine Falls, looking at all the different volcanic layers in the rocks here. There are two different layers. The dark rock is all volcanic ash, and the light rock is lava. This area used to be a volcanic plateau. The stratovolcano that used to be here was formed by the convergence of the North American plate and the Juan de Fuca plate. The Juan de Fuca plate diverged underneath the North American plate, forming the volcano, leaving all of this different rock formations.
Just to clarify, lava, ash.
After all of our long travels, we finally made it to the Whistler village. Had a great time. Watch the rest of the video.
Whistler, Canada, one of the most beautiful places in all of British Columbia and even Canada. It's also one of the most expensive places because it draws in so many tourists from around the world, such as Australia and USA, for skiing and biking purposes. We're about to go into the adventure store here and ask them what makes their store thrive during both the summer and winter seasons.
We got Surefoot, Quicksilver, and Can Ski. All three of these stores are targeting the same people, and all three of them are thriving because here in Whistler, skiing and snowboarding has a massive market.
This is the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. The Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory thrives on people's hunger. Here in Whistler, everyone's looking for a bite to eat. However, most shops are not able to produce great prices. Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory is not great prices, but it definitely does the trick. The chocolate is impeccable, freshly made in the back of the store every day. And that's what separates them from the rest.
Let's go inside. We're gonna go inside this one. What draws the customers for you?
So specifically, what makes your shop thrive over the other ones around here?
I think for tourists that coming in, it's just curiosity. They haven't seen Troy Lee brand before. Like they see the bikes, come in, link it to the downhill. Like mainly, it'd only be like locals and your serious bikers that be purchasing. Like the tourists, like, doesn't really sell as well with them because they don't understand or know what the brand is. But yeah.
So for the most part, it's foreigners versus locals around here?
Yep, most part, like out of 10, it'd be like 7 out of 10 foreigners, then you got like 3 locals coming in.
The Longhorn Saloon, found here behind me, is always busy for numerous reasons. Right behind you have the ski mountain in the winter and the downhill racing in the summer. After a long day of biking, lots of people want a drink, want some food. Bike racks all over the place here. It's easy, you can throw your bike there, go in, grab a beer, watch your friend's bike, or grab some.
So what brought you to Whistler?
Downhill mountain biking and it's on the heart.
What brought you to Whistler?
Just the snow experience. It's really good.
After a long night in Whistler, we made our way to Shannon Falls, where I froze my nips off in the icy water.
Right here beside me, this is an intrusive rock, and it is the smoothest rock I have ever felt. It really is interesting. It is smoothened by the glacier passing through, as you can see by the lines going that way. And all around us here at my feet and down by the camera is lateral moraine.
Lateral moraines are parallel ridges of debris deposited along the sides of a glacier. The debris can be deposited on top of the glacier by frost shattering of the valley walls or from tributary streams flowing into the valley.
This rock here is intrusive because it was cooled very slowly underground with large crystals. If it was extrusive, it would be very rugged because it cooled very quickly with a lot of small crystals, giving it that texture feel. Here we're standing in a U-shaped valley. At one point, a glacier would have passed through here, and that's what caused all the smoothing of the rock. You know that it passed through here from north to south because of the striations seen here. This is all from glaciers scraping the rock and smoothing it down.
Behind me is the Chief, also known as a bathroom. It was formed millions of years ago, and it was also called a magma chamber. It was pushed up due to tectonic uplift after it solidified underground. In the middle of the Chief is the basaltic dike. Millions of years ago, the Chief would have cracked, and magma from below the earth would have worked its way up and cooled quickly to make that line.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Right now I'm sitting in the middle of this gorgeous, youthful river. You know, I can tell that because if you look right over there, you see those lush white rapids moving through those large rocks, which have been carried down by the river, quite frankly. If you look a little further up, you can see the high gradients coming through a nice, tight, narrow valley. One more thing about a youthful river, if you notice, the speed coming through here is quite intense. And if you look, you can see the bottom, which means it's really shallow. Therefore, this must be a youthful river.
Wow. We're here at Shannon Falls by the Chief. And this is the gorgeous waterfall that is responsible for the rivers flowing down here to our right. This is a glacier-fed waterfall, causing a lot of water to flow through this waterfall every day. If you look up closely, the rock is very smooth. That is caused by hydraulic action. The constant water movement flowing on the outside of the rock smooths it down, giving it that soft texture.
Shannon Falls is a hanging valley caused by glaciation. The river flows over a truncated spur, which used to be part of the mountain, but collapsed many years ago.
Thanks, man, for watching the presentation, man. Yeah.